season where the Giants are yet again done in October, early October, 5 games in, and the season is, for many reasons, just about finished. And that seemed like it was going to be that way after 3 weeks. So I guess there was 1 week where, it made sense to maybe, the Giants were on more than life support going to the Cowboy game, coming off of a impressive comeback against the Saints, and some reasons to be optimistic. But I said it last episode, this was the last sort of chance, and a great one, that I was giving this team, and they didn't come through. And there's many, many different things to talk about. And look, a big storyline is going to be the injuries. I'm not using that in any way as an excuse. Like, absolutely not. But it's a big point. I mean, the offense is gutted by injuries. I mean, already there's been, Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton out with hamstring injuries. Nick Gates was out for the season in week 2. Shane Lemieux, he was, I believe that was a season-ending injury. He hadn't even played at all this year. Maybe he played in week 1. I can't remember. But then Kenny Galladay's been banged up, but has played. He would leave this game with a knee injury. Saquon Barkley hurts his ankle on a play where, again, you got to feel for the guy. Obviously, he's been injured a lot. It was a play where Daniel Jones overthrew the ball, and for some reason he was looking at the ball. I don't know what the fuck he was doing, not looking at what was around him, and he just kind of runs into a Cowboy and twists his ankle. And so he will be out for some time. How long, I don't know, but for some time. But just kind of a careless, it was weird in watching that, that he wasn't really looking right in front of him. Really strange. And then Daniel Jones has a concussion, and he looked really woozy. Really, really, did not look like he was in the best of states. Like, he had to be carted off. So that's a concussion where he may easily not play next week. It looked that bad. I wouldn't expect it to be long-term by any means, but so Jones, he gets hurt. And then Kadarius Toney was unbelievably good. He got hurt as well, comes back in, and then he gets ejected. So even the one main positive, Kadarius Toney, you could see why the Giants did fall in love with him. He's got a lot of talent. But it almost feels like this might be an Odell type situation. Oozes with skill, but also is a bit of a hothead. Not necessarily the smartest when it comes to being in the moment. I would say Odell was maybe smarter in the football sense. Kadarius seems just raw completely, where he just tries to get as many yards as he possibly can. And he had 189 receiving yards today. That was a season record against a regular season record of receiving yards versus the Cowboys. And so he looks like he's going to be a big-time player, but he ends up throwing a punch at a Cowboy, gets ejected. So any way you want to look at it, total mess. A lot of injuries. The defense sucks. The defense completely sucks. I know it's against a good Dallas offense. I get that. But, players are not stepping up. James Bradbury, who had an amazing year 1, has taken a major step back. Adoree Jackson, I don't think it's been all that good. Logan Ryan has been worse this year for sure. Young players aren't necessarily coming through. Leonard Williams has been okay at best. So really bad. I mean, a lot of good players. And Jabril Peppers did not play in this game either. And, I didn't even mention on offense, Andrew Thomas was active but did not play. So the offensive line has actually, to me, held up. Considering how bad that line should be, it has somewhat been all right. That hasn't even really been the problem. But in this one, the Giants never led. Just to go through some stats, the Cowboys had 515 total yards. You're not going to win games when the opposing team has 515 fucking yards. They were 8 for 14 on third down conversions. They ran for 201 yards. You run for 200 plus yards, that's going to be a problem. So really, the Giants defense stood no chance. They had no chance of stopping them. And the offense, they had their moments, but fucked up in key spots. Jason Garrett has to go. Dave Gettleman, of course, has to go. And Joe Judge, it might just be easiest for him to go. If you're going to get rid of Gettleman, there was a point in time when, Judge, keep him at all costs for sure. And there's things about him that I still do like, but my thoughts on him have soured this season. I don't love what I've seen. There's been a lot of undisciplined play, a lot of it. I mean, the Toney punch, Ojulari took a really stupid penalty in this game, even though I do like what I've seen from him. Some of the rookies have flashed. Again, I think Judge could be a commodity that is someone who he's in danger with Gettleman's uncertainty. And so this game, and Daniel Jones, when he was healthy and in there, did not look great today. Very small sample size, and he could have very well turned it around. But to be fair, he didn't look great. In this one, if we're going to go drive by drive, Dallas on third. So first drive, Dallas 3rd and 6 at the 48. They had every intention of going for it on 4th. They ran on 3rd and 6 for 4 yards. And when I saw that, I'm thinking, all right, like they're going for it, and they do on 4th. And Lorenzo Carter makes a really nice play and intercepts Dak Prescott, leaps up, deflects it, and catches it. So, all right, Giants with a turnover started to start it off. And at this point, obviously you're not feeling good about the fact that Andrew Thomas isn't in, but you have, of course, Daniel Jones at that point. You do have Saquon. You have Galladay. So, you're feeling okay at this stage. But then what happens is 4th and 5 at the Dallas 36, and they go for a Graham Gano 54-yard field goal. And Gano has a good leg, usually good. But 4th and you know you're going to need to score points in this game. Why are you settling for 3? It's a 54-yard field goal, and it's 4th and 5. Just fucking go for it. I had a major problem with that. And so Gano, he misses it. It's a 54-yard field goal. It's not fucking easy. At that point, it's scoreless. And then Dallas would drive the field, but settle for 3. The Giant defense would hold. And so Dallas gets a 31-yard field goal. And then the Giants would have a 3 and out, and they would punt. Then Dallas has a nice, well, actually, they'd start off with good field position. What ends up happening at the end is Dak Prescott, it's not a great snap, but Dak fumbles it. Zeke can't cover it up, and Reggie Ragland recovers it for the Giants. So it's a fumble recovery. So 2 turnovers for the Giant defense. It stays 3-0 Dallas. But then the Giants would go 3 and out. And this would be when Saquon, I guess Saquon had maybe gotten hurt earlier. Saquon, I think it might have been earlier on. Yes, it was on the punt before the drive where they fumbled it. And it was a play where Daniel Jones was a bad throw. Really bad throw. Saquon, for some reason, not paying attention, runs into the Dallas player, and he hurts his ankle. So Devontae Booker would take over as the lead back. And so, but like I said, the Giants get that recovery. And so it's 3-0, but then the Giants punt it right back. Giants offense doing nothing at this point. It would be a touchdown drive for Dallas. And it would be a CeeDee Lamb 49-yard touchdown catch. And this was a play where James Bradbury got beat, and Julian Love, Jabril Peppers was out, so Julian Love was involved a lot more. He didn't do a good job. He lets Lamb get by him, and this was after Love had made a pretty good play on Dak Prescott earlier on, and he had made some plays. That's a bad one right there, and it makes it 10-0 Dallas. The Giants then would settle for 3, and it was a big play to Kadarius Toney, a 38-yard. This is the first completion by Daniel Jones, and it's in the second quarter, early in the second quarter. Toney with a 38-yard catch leads to a 51-yard field goal by Gano. Again, that's not going to get it done, but they do cut it to a touchdown deficit. Then Dallas is a 3 and out. So the Giants have the ball down by 7, and they would tie it up. And the big play would of course, be Kadarius Toney, a 28-yard catch to the 2. Unfortunately, doesn't score, and it would cost the Giants the health of their quarterback, because what they then do is really bad play calling. 1 yard gain for Booker from the 2, no gain from the 1, so it's 3rd and goal at the 1, and then they do a play where Daniel Jones rolls out to the left, and it's a incidental helmet to helmet. It was not dirty by any means, but it was helmet to helmet. They didn't call the helmet to helmet penalty. Jones goes down, and he tries to get up, and he's wobbly, and it did not look good. And so he's out of the game. Mike Glennon, the backup, comes in, and on 4th goal at the 1, Devontae Booker does score. So he does bittersweet, where the Giants end up do get a touchdown, but Jones gets hurt. So that ties it up at 10. But what do you know? And again, let's not forget the bad play calling by the offense there that leads to the Jones injury. But on the defensive side, another end of half touchdown against Patrick Graham. That's on you. That's a really bad job. It's a 8-play, 75-yard drive, 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And it would be the play before the Amari Cooper touchdown was a dropped interception by James Bradbury. You got to catch that ball. he doesn't, and then it is a 24 touchdown reception to Amari Cooper. Rodarius Williams was up against him. I don't know why. Rodarius Williams would leave the game later with a knee injury. I think it was a knee. I'm not positive. Might have been the specific injury. I'm not certain, but Rodarius would leave the game. And so it's 17-10 Cowboys at half. And as it was, the Giants, Barkley's ruled out for the rest of the game at half, or earlier than that. Daniel Jones is ruled out. Then we learned that Kenny Golladay is ruled out for the rest of the game. But the Giants would get a field goal to start the half. The offense did move the ball, even with Mike Glennon. Kadarius Toney was involved. Big 35-yard play to Kadarius Toney to start the drive, and they would settle for a 51-yard field goal. And so that makes it a 17-13 game. But what do you know? Right away, next drive, it would be they would drive the field. Dalton Schultz gets a 30-yard catch. And eventually what happens is on second goal at the 4, it's Dak Prescott to Zeke Elliott, wide open, 4-yard touchdown, and it's a 24-13 game. And then Mike Glennon on the first play of the next drive, deep pass to C.J. Board is intercepted by Trayvon Diggs, who has a lot of interceptions. I think it's like 5 or 6 on the season for the Cowboys. Pretty ridiculous stuff. And then the Cowboys would get a field goal the next drive to make it 27-13. So, at this point, the Giants are in major trouble. And then late in the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, the Giants do move the ball down the field. Again, Kadarius Toney, a major part of that. And on a third and goal at the 9, it's a direct snap to Toney, who gets a 7-yard gain to the 2. But then on fourth and goal at the 2, Glennon incomplete to Toney. It could have been pass interference maybe, but I just didn't like the play call. They pretty much boxed Glennon into a corner. He had one play to Toney, and it didn't work out. So I didn't love that play call there. And then it would be the game was basically over already in my mind, but pretty much seals it right here. A 9-play, 98-yard drive for the Cowboys, and it ends off with a 13-yard rushing touchdown for Ezekiel Elliott. The Giants on the next drive would score a touchdown of their own. Was this the drive where Toney gets ejected? I think it was. Yes, it was. Toney throws a punch. He could have easily had above 200 yards. Just a ridiculous game for him, but of course, that's just how it goes with New York Giant football. Is that Toney gets ejected, and then it would be on fourth and goal at the 3, a 3-yard touchdown pass from Mike Glennon to Devontae Booker. The Cowboys would get a field goal on their next drive as the Giants had a failed onside kick. So the Cowboys settled for a 31-yard field goal, and then it would be a pick 6 just to totally put icing on the cake. And Anthony Brown, 45-yard interception return for a touchdown, makes it 44-20, and that's your final. 44-20 Cowboys. And quite honestly, really just a game where the final score wasn't all that surprising to me. Like if you showed me, like, all right, that makes sense. But what you wouldn't have thought was obviously all of those injuries like that. And now the Giants play the Rams next week. It doesn't get any easier. When your first 3 games were Broncos at home, Washington on the road, Atlanta at home, and you come out of that 0-3, you're fucked. You're fucked automatically. And the only way to have made up for that would have been winning in New Orleans, which they did, and winning at Dallas. They did not do that. Cost them dearly. And they're 1-4 now. 1-4. I think that, for me, you're going to see me rooting against them the rest of the season. I know it's a sad state of affairs. But that's just the way that it goes. And I think that there's going to be people that are going to be playing for their jobs, coaching for their jobs, managing for their jobs in these last 12 games. But it just sucks that, it's another season where here I am rooting against this team. And it always works out where when I root against them, they win. And when I root for them, they lose. It's been, really tough. I think I saw a stat, the Giants, are 19-50 since 2017. I think just really, the Giants are just one of the worst football teams in the league. That's just what they've become. That's it. And, if some people want to go the injury route, and is it a big story? Yes, it is. But what about the defense? I know Blake Martinez is hurt, but why are they so bad? What's that all about? After a really good 2020 season, Patrick Graham, you can forget about becoming a head coach. That ain't happening anytime soon, if ever. So here we are, and we'll see where things go. We'll see who's healthy enough to even play. But I would not expect next week to be any better against a hot Ram team coming to MetLife, which is a stadium where the Giants may as well be the road team because they don't win too often there.